Do you want some water? This is a fresh cup. Happy 4th of July. Good morning, everyone. Dr. Kiltz and Dr. Faruqi.
Hello there.
Welcome, welcome. Give a few moments for people to log in. It's always great to see everyone. I missed last week. I'm sorry. There was no good explanation other than I was a little exhausted traveling. Let's see. Mishila, that dream lady. Good morning. Good morning. Just Flosit. How you doing? Sarah Portolito. Good morning. Joy. Good morning. Good morning. Let's see. Another awesome day, right, Dr. Faruqi?
Beautiful day.
And we're here to share love and improving your fertility journey and the Fertile Fireside Chat on the 4th of July. Happy 4th to everyone. Vicky.
And there is a fire there.
Right
there. You see the fire?
Yeah, we get a little fire, the Fireside Chat. We have it on low because it is summertime. First day of stims yesterday. All right. Have and hold hope always. Don't let hope go. We always have to be hopeful, don't we?
Do we?
And we talk about positivity and intentions, and we talk a lot about how we can all manifest the dreams we have. I wrote a book called The Fertile Secret. I took it out of The Secret for Rhonda Byrne. Take a look at The Secret and The Fertile Secret. You might find some good stuff. Maria Cruz, Erin, Rachel Keys, hello. Natalie, Robin, hello. Jillian, good morning. Nini, good morning. And shoot a hello to us. Thumbs up for everyone. Where are you coming from? We're getting ready. Dr. Condrip's joined us. We're getting our Sarasota office open, hopefully in August, for monitoring and IUIs and surgeries down in Sarasota at Doctors Hospital. Really excited about that. I'll be down there some and looking forward to that. We really are joining our Dr. Faruqi's team in Montreal. We're working to continue to grow that team. Oh, and Dr. Ivanov in Philadelphia, working to kind of get that organization, that office, more monitoring IUIs and getting people ready for IVF for everyone. Let's see, Rock Hill, South Carolina. Oh, and Dr. Corley from South Carolina also.
Yep.
And Dr. Fink and Dr. Magarelli in Colorado Springs, really bringing a lot together. This COVID stuff has really been overwhelming.
Yeah, but we're at the end. It's the end of the light at the end of the tunnel.
And we're all coming out, but we still have to wear masks in our medical offices, and you have to have proof of your vaccine for retrievals and surgeries or recent COVID tests. So we're hopefully coming out of all of this stuff soon. Atlanta, Dr. V, thank you, Dr. V, and our whole team down there. We're working to get retrievals and transfers. There's so many details that we're all working on. I apologize. And the COVID has kind of slowed us all down in lots and lots of ways.
It did slow us down. Hey, a question a lot of patients ask us, and I bet you someone's going to ask it in the next few minutes. What about the COVID vaccine during fertility treatments?
Well, Dr. Randy Morris recently did a study on that and showed that the vaccine is safe and doesn't affect fertility. And we generally recommend it, but everyone has to make up their own decision in this. I think the vaccine is safer than the virus, and it may protect against all these variants that are likely out there and coming.
So another question about the vaccine. We got a patient pregnant, and she's in the first trimester. You think she should get the vaccine?
Generally recommend waiting after the first trimester for that. There may be some side effects to the vaccine. So I think waiting is probably a better idea.
That's what I say, the same thing. Exactly.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's see. Morgan, a consult coming. There was a question there about after your miracle baby, how long can you get to your next start or retrieval?
As soon as you want.
I usually recommend about 3 months, 6 months at the most is all you need, depending on any complications that you may have had. Let's see. Nicole, Philadelphia office. Yes, Dr. Ivanov is doing monitoring and consults with us. We'll be doing IUIs, surgeries and HSGs. So we'll get you more. It should be a link on our website about that for sure. When will Lucius? Let's see, IVF in Atlanta. Again, we're working on its building, its construction. It's it's team members, it's embryologists and retrievals. Dr. V is doing retrievals and transfers in Syracuse. We just have some work to do to get it going. Everything takes time.
Yeah. Now here's a good question. Can you talk to us about TSH levels? This is from Deanna. Can you talk to us about TSH levels and where would you prefer these levels to be during and after transfer? What is TSH?
Come on, doctor.
Well, TSH is not the thyroid hormone. TSH is the hormone produced by your brain that tells your thyroid what to do. The actual thyroid hormone is T3. But since we need to measure how your thyroid is working, we generally measure TSH levels. The lower the level, the more your thyroid is functioning.
So under 2.5 is usually the number that we like.
Yeah.
The medications we use in all of this sometimes can cause the TSH testing to be abnormal. This is where I recommend a T3, T4 testing also, and thyroid antibody screening. But if you're on thyroid hormones, we monitor the TSH, and if it goes above 2.5, we usually increase the dose. But you could see some fluctuations with all these drugs.
Even cycle to cycle fluctuations.
Yeah.
We do generally monitor that quite a bit.
Let's see. Rizwan, the accuracy of FISH testing to determine gender can be considered equivalent to PGS testing. We don't use FISH anymore, fluorescent immune cytohisto.
Well, it's because it's done on day 3 embryos, mostly.
Well, we don't do that type of testing anymore. We now, right, because we do more accurate testing. If you want gender, we do blastocyst testing. But I guess for some people that don't make blasts, FISH might be an acceptable way. You can technically test on these, but
it's not even, I don't even know if we still can get a lab to do it.
Yeah, I don't know if anyone's doing it, but there might be the technology, right?
Yeah, the technology is definitely there. The other thing that we noticed is when we test day 3 embryos, we might be actually damaging them because they're very. That is controversial, but it's it's out there.
Any biopsy of an embryo made,
Yeah.
but we do a lot of biopsies. We do a lot of hatching. You could remove cells even on day 3, but it's just our technologies have moved to a different platform.
Oh, here, that's a patient from Montreal.
Yeah,
Melissa. Good morning from Montreal. So grateful to Dr. That's me, by the way.
we love this man.
Grateful to Dr. Faruqi for keeping us hopeful and motivated. Currently 9 weeks pregnant after IUI.
Sean,
I mean, that is exactly what we talk about. You need to stay motivated. You need to stay hopeful. It ends up working for everyone.
well,
There is a solution. We'll bring it to you.
so persistence and a positive attitude is really helpful
Yes.
in all this.
Yeah.
All right. So Shauna Miller Harding, how long should you wait after miscarriage due to clotting to start another transfer when beta won't drop under 50? I would, again, an ultrasound, some blood testing, sometimes a DNC for that. Sometimes you'll get a low-level HCG. But if you haven't had a DNC or a hysteroscopy, it might be worthwhile looking at that. We'd like to see the HCG drop to negative, which is variable, and then you can get going usually pretty quickly in all of that.
Truthfully, you don't really become fertile until that HCG gets back to a negative value, because it's probably not possible to become pregnant as long as your HCG is positive.
The life
Of 2 moms.
of 2 moms. All right. Well, why do normal tested embryos end up still failing?
A very good question. The answer is we probably don't know, because there's more to normal. There's more to pregnancy than just being normal. There is the environment in the uterus that has a great deal of effect, which causes normal embryos to fail. Let's ask a question to Dr. Kiltz. What's the number one cause?
Well, inflammation is the cause of all. And if you look at our family building guide, you can download it on our website, a digital form, or get to Amazon and get a paper copy.
Yeah.
But we talk a lot about inflammation, but the genetic testing of an embryo isn't perfect either. It may be there's something wrong with the embryo due to a sperm issue or an egg issue. Remember, we look at chromosomes and think the chromosomes tell the full story, but there are many other metabolic factors that may be responsible for implantation of the embryo. But most of all, I think it has to do with implantation factors, damage to the glycocalyx, the uterine environment, the implantation site. And this is why, if you go to page 73 of our family building guide, we have a whole list of immune protocols that I think are really important.
We have a lot of patients that don't get pregnant, and we go on these protocols, and they end up voila, they become pregnant.
Right.
This is definitely something going on here.
And what's the most important thing that I never stop talking about?
I don't know. There's a lot of things. You just keep talking.
And keto. Now, for me, carnivore keto, and Judy Cho put out a really book good on carnivore cure. But if you look at our family building guide, Dr. Kiltz's Keto Lifestyle, which we're coming out with the new one, Kiltz's Keto for Fertility, and the Fertile Feast, you'll get a lot of insight into the things that can reduce inflammation. And I just got a new book by Dr. Salisbury, and we have all heard of Salisbury's steak. And the 1850s, he was talking about this same stuff. It's pretty remarkable.
Forward thinking. You know, we have patients from all over the world.
All over the world.
There's Farhad Ahmed Nakvi saying hello to the both of us from Pakistan.
Welcome. We had Philippines here,
Yeah.
and we are able to work with your doctors around the world. So any of you doctors want to be a CNY fertility satellite to help us,
We'll definitely team up.
we'll work with you all over the globe.
That's actually the secret to our success. We work with everybody.
No matter size, shape, age, weight, gender description, color, it doesn't matter. We're all human beings, and we all need to eliminate our prejudicial views and judgment in any negative way. Stop talking about it completely, other than we're taking care of beautiful human beings all over the world. All right, Amber, how many embryos are typically transferred at one time? Healthy 28. Block tubes. Recently had my retrieval. 8 mature eggs were successfully fertilized. 1 is our general recommendation. When you say, Dr. Faruqi?
Well, there are some basic guidelines. Below 35, we definitely would encourage a single embryo transfer. Twin pregnancies aren't exactly low-risk pregnancies. We would like to avoid high-risk situations. Twins are definitely high risk. So 1 embryo. Now, there are cases where we transfer a couple of times single embryos on young ladies like yourself, and you don't get pregnant. Now we start looking at other causes. For instance, the immunological causes, inflammation, so on. And one of our strategies at that time might be, okay, listen, you're not getting pregnant. We might transfer 2, but it generally is for the minority of patients.
Right. But we have a discussion with individuals and make those decisions. There's not a like someone else did it, I get to do it.
No.
Let's see. We have a good question here from, Nepal. Cause of irregular menstruation.
Nepal.
All
over the world.
Again, we're all, with our technology and capabilities today, we're all a global village and family. We all need to be taking care of ourselves and each other in all positive, loving ways. And we need to let go of the negative judgment for sure. Positive judgment for everyone, love. All right. So irregular menstrual cycles are caused by what? Inflammation, some damage to the hypothalamic pituitary ovarian axis that damages the ovary, the pituitary, the adrenals, and the uterine environment. And for me, it's always to change your diet, and fasting is lasting. I always say 1 meal a day at night, best way. Doesn't matter what you're eating, but in so many ways, it's likely what you're eating is the cause of your diseases. That's the craziness to this story.
So this whole menstrual cycle is kind of like a finely tuned computer with sensors.
It's a dance.
Yes, it is. There's a control center which gives signals to the ovaries. So a lot of things from the outside can disturb this functioning.
Tremendous number of phytochemicals, phytoestrogens, androgens, and progestins in the food we eat. It's mostly in the plants. That's why I recommend no raw vegetables, fruit, fiber, seeds, or nuts. Cook them, but minimize them. Add the fat, and 1 meal a day. I've seen a big change. It's not the excess weight we carry is the cause of disease. It's the food we put in the belly that then extracts these chemicals and distribute it all over our bodies. All right.
There was a question over there that it just went up there. It was, when and why do we use letrozole, and when are the cases we don't use letrozole? Now, I know you and me going to have a different answer to that, but go ahead.
Well, letrozole or Clomid can help stimulate ovulatory follicular growth early. It's just we're taking advantage of different mechanisms. And letrozole will help your pituitary gland begin to secrete LH and FSH to stimulate follicular growth. And the FSH gonadotropins or low-dose HCG or Menopur can stimulate the ovaries. But there's also some benefit of the letrozole in implantation factors. So that's another one that I think is really helpful. And then in some cases, it may lower estrogen levels that may have a benefit in reducing ovarian hyperstimulation. So these are all ideas and theories that we have found helpful. And you can reduce the amount of gonadotropins by using either Clomid or letrozole in our mini protocols that lower the cost of the meds, but still get a really great stimulation. I personally love letrozole 10, gonalephor 200 with 20 of HCG, with or without human growth hormone or Cerevital to help improve the quality of the eggs. Now,
I also use letrozole 10. I tend to use it more on people who would have a potential hyperstimulation for the same reason as you. We want to keep our dosages down. We don't want to get too many eggs, and we want to keep that estrogen level down.
Not overstimulate.
Yes. I also use letrozole a lot for poor responders because I want to get as much help as I can to get those early follicular development. Because in an IVF cycle, the first few days is when we do recruitment, and then the next few days is when we do development of those follicles.
And you can even
want to get those follicles early.
And you can even do that in the luteal phase.
Exactly,
or what I love to do in a priming is estrase 2, prometrium 200, and human growth hormone omnitrope 3 prime, then go right into a stimulation. You don't need to have a menstrual period. You get a baseline ultrasound and bloods, and you get started. So I think that's really, really another but we do a lot of lower dose minis in everyone with a high responder or a low responder. Why waste a bunch of money on drugs that aren't going to stimulate more eggs? All right, we'll get this one. Carissa. Hi, Carissa. Can you talk about ERA, ERP, the endometrial receptivity assay, or peak test by one's iGenomics, one's Cooper, that I'm beginning to recommend it early on. Maybe another testing before you do any transfers could be helpful. It helps narrow the window of your transfer timing. So it might say, yes, you've got the right window, the number of hours of progesterone, or you should transfer earlier or later. Those are really your options in all of this. But keto for sure. Laparoscopy, hysteroscopy is the surgical evaluation and treatment of endometriosis, and then the medical treatment of endometriosis. And I think there was another question about that. Is either Orilissa or Lupron for at least 2 months plus letrozole. I like 5 milligrams for that 2 months. Can be very, very helpful in all of this.
Yep, good question over there. First beta, well, first of all, congratulations, you're pregnant. Is the first beta of 500 a sign of twins? No. There is really no number that would make us suspect that you have twins other than actually doing an ultrasound. But there is some truth that if you have very high numbers in the beginning, you could have twins, but it's still not a given.
All right, here's another question. My wife has done 4 IVF cycles the past year with 3 that never implanted. The 4th resulted in a miscarriage. 2 successful pregnancies, but I am 10 years older than her. Should I try to carry again? So this is where the diagnostic laparoscopy, hysteroscopy, treatment for endo, our immune protocol 3 or 4, I think is important. And the majority of our IVF are at least immune protocol 3. But if you have another option of someone else carrying, we do a lot of gestational carriers, whether it's your partner intended parent, or it's a friend or relative or neighbor or someone that we help you find. Those are all options for all of that. But I think it's either another embryo, but it's always about improving the environment. Get rid of fibroids, get rid of endo, get rid of scar tissue, inflammation. Endometrial receptivity peak testing by Cooper or endometrial receptivity assay by iGenomics are all good options for all of that.
That's a good question right there. Let's do those two here. I'm currently priming at CNY, and I haven't done a hysterosalpingogram. It's actually not a problem because you're priming for an IVF cycle. So once we get your embryos, we can always come back and do that test.
But if you're still priming, you can actually get your HSG and saline sonogram and ultrasound to evaluate your tubes. The hysterosalpingogram isn't required, nor is any of this testing, but it rules out hydrosalpinx, which could be another factor that may adversely affect implantation. So,
and then the next question is actually a question that keeps coming back all the time. I don't think we've ever done a Facebook Live where it hasn't been asked. Do you recommend transferring high-level mosaics? Actually, we recommend transferring every embryo just as long as you're aware of the what we're doing. Number one, when we just said that earlier too. When we do PGT, we're not testing the embryos. Actually, we're testing cells around the
embryos. We're not testing the fetus. There's the fetus, and then there's the placental cells which make up the embryo.
Yeah,
right.
Those are called the outer cell mass. So we're testing the outer cell mass. What we have learned over a period of time is that we'll talk about that.
Well, basically, you're biopsying cells on the trophectoderm, and this cell may be different than this cell, which we all have different cells in our body, and so we just all have to recognize that it's an imperfect process. It's just another grading mechanism, if anything.
Yes, it is. So a normal embryo is about 60% chance of pregnancy. In the abnormal embryo group, low-level mosaics are easy 40 to 50% chance. They're actually mostly normal. High-level mosaics also most of the time are normal embryos. So we definitely would consider
and we will transfer any embryos. They're your embryos, not ours. Yeah. And we transfer many untested embryos. We're not getting a bunch of abnormal babies at all.
Not at all.
So the testing, I think, is not always that helpful. Success rate is of a 2-day we transfer day 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and day 7 embryos. I think an embryo in the uterus is always a better one that's in the on ice or in the trash. You got to get into uterus at some points.
And we don't throw embryos. If your embryo makes it to day 5 or day 3, and that's where we wanted it to go, we're going to freeze it and keep it because we don't have the ability of predicting which one's going to be your baby.
All right. Let's see. Joy NYF. What is the estimated time frame frozen embryo transfers? What is the ideal waiting time for a transfer after myomectomy? I usually recommend 3 months after a myomectomy minimum. Let's see, time frame. Basically, between the starting of your medications or your cycle, it takes about 3 weeks to a transfer on average. All right. How's everyone doing today, July 4th? Let's see. You're going to have plenty of steak and burgers and hot dogs, but minimize the buns or the corn and the potatoes and all the other stuff. But from time to time, you have to enjoy, you have to reward yourself. So even Kiltz's keto craziness, which is bacon, eggs, butter, beef, ice cream, and salt. We're working on our new books coming out. Maria Emmerich and I have a great book on the Fertile Feast cookbook. Excited about that. Happy 4th of July to everyone. Intercourse during EFT.
For FET probably, right?
But basically, there may be benefits to intercourse. There doesn't seem to be much harm. We seem to be like, oh man, you got to be really careful. But I think that it's probably
there
okay.
really is no science to say no.
But there may be benefits. We're even talking about doing IUI before transfers, may be helpful. There may be some anti-inflammatory effects of the ejaculate. So those are some interesting things.
Another question over there. How long after a C-section can we go ahead and do another retrieval?
So, well, you can do a retrieval the day after, pretty much, but probably a month, 2 or 3, and 3 months is a good one. Even after a myomectomy, you could do a retrieval one to within the month, 2 or 3
Yeah,
after.
when we say we're going to transfer in 3 months, doesn't mean we can't do a retrieval before that. We can do a retrieval 2 weeks after your surgery.
Chris Curry asked another question again about endometriosis. How do you know? But saline ultrasound was told I have textbook perfect uterus. Endometriosis it's silent, but infertility is not silent. If you have infertility, there's a very high chance you have endometriosis. The Receptiva DX endometrial biopsy may give you some evidence if it's positive, but if it's negative, then that might be, you don't know until you do a laparoscopy because it has an inaccuracy about 20%. That said, you can empirically just treat with the anti-endo protocol, Orilissa or Lupron with letrozole for at least 2 months, maybe 3 months, or the surgical approach, which is a laparoscopy, hysteroscopy. All right, let's see. Shaquana, how you doing? How long is Cetri good for unopened? I've heard different. You know what? You got to look at the box. You have to talk to the pharmacy. I don't want to misspeak on that one for sure. It depends on where it was stored, how it was stored. That's a whole new one to think about.
But generally, it's relatively long shelf life.
Yes.
Depends where you buy it too, by the way.
Let's see. Yeah. Mimi Poppins can get pregnant but miscarry around 6 weeks. I consider infertility, if you have not delivered a normal pregnancy, you're infertile. Although they consider infertility, you're fertile if you get pregnant. Your miscarriage is different, which I don't agree with. But basically, and the causes of miscarriage and infertility are the same. There's no difference. We're all looking at the same causes, whether you're even premature pregnancies are the same causes. It's all related to some anatomic or inflammatory process that has damaged something in your reproductive system. And guys, don't forget, you too are a contributing factor. Change your diet, change your lifestyle. Look at Dr. Kiltz's keto lifestyle and the Fertile Feast. Check out our molecular fertility supplements. With this crazy COVIDness, these have been a little bit on back order. And so just a lot of great supplements, but keto, fasting, 1 meal a day, and get off the treadmill and slow it down. Dr. Faruqi, do you want to take this one?
I have a 3-year-old from IVF at 41, diagnosed with a cerebrospinal fluid leak. We repaired with surgery, miscarried last PGT, normal embryo at 8 weeks, 10 months post-surgery. Could there be any correlation between the CSF leak and IVF? I'm presuming. It's a very good question, but here's the answer. Since we've been doing IVF since 1980, there are people now that are over 40 years old that were born by IVF. There's about 5 to 7 million. We don't know exactly, but there's millions of babies out there now, children and adults who were born with IVF. And when we looked at the numbers, the exact same malformation rates as the general population. There's nothing different from babies born with IVF versus babies born naturally. And that is a question that has been answered.
So remember, the causes of our problems are all the same, related to inflammation. Everything that we can do to correct the inflammation in our bodies is critical, whether you're a vegan, vegetarian, Mediterranean, or pescatarian or carnivarian. The most important thing is limit the frequency of food, cook it well. I say 1 meal a day, lots of naps, by the way, and lots of faith and positivity. That's really key. And slow down and visualize exactly what you want in your life. All right. You want to get this one, Dr. Faruqi?
Would you recommend draining endometriomas before transfer instead of surgery to preserve your AMH? If we're talking about transfers and not retrieval, we're just talking transfers, I don't think we need to do anything about draining the endometriomas, but we might do what we just talked about a few minutes ago, give you a pre-treatment for endometriosis, 2 months on Orilissa, letrozole, or Lupron. You like Orilissa and letrozole?
Orilissa and letrozole are both oral. They work well. 200 milligrams once a day and 5 milligrams once a day. 2 to 3 months,
Yeah.
or do intramuscular Lupron.
Yeah, I actually like Lupron more, but that's just a doctor preference. If we do stuff like that, I think it can improve implantation rates by as much as 20%.
Well,
So there is a measurable difference.
And the beauty of Orlissa is you can stop it if you're having issues versus the Lupron, which is already in your system. You could do daily sub-Q Lupron also.
Yeah.
But so, or the surgery, they're all good. And should you drain the endometriomas, you could get in there and clean up endo, drain the endometrioma, but do not take out the shell. You just can open and drain it and clean things out.
Yeah, because if you start stripping those endometriomas, you start removing their inner lining, you're essentially removing ovarian tissue, and that's a disaster for AMH.
And you may adversely affect AMH. And if you have a low AMH, you could turn the AMH around by kiltz's keto lifestyle. I've seen it work. It's quite amazing, along with DHEA and also the Orlissa or Cerevital. BBS Vida, AMH 0.07443. All of the levels are normal. Acupuncture, all of these things, acupuncture, massage, meditation, prayer, visualization, keto, maybe some high volume PRP, intrauterines. We also do intraovarian. And don't forget, donor egg add-on is something that I would highly consider. But kiltz's keto lifestyle and carnivore, to me, is the most important one that I've ever learned personally to change, the game changer. The plants are the predators. They make the poisons and the particles that disrupt your reproduction because they don't want us eating them, but they manipulate us every day. How about this one, Doctor?
I was given the 30, this is from Natasha. I was given a 30% chance of having a beautiful baby, and I have a beautiful baby boy, thanks to you guys. 30% is a great chance.
Well, and ultimately, you're either 0 or 100. No, none of us can predict what it's going to be. We can't barely predict the weather. And so ultimately, all you can do is take the basic information that all of us have, whether you're a Western or Eastern practitioner. You're listening and learning from those that have been on this journey. That's why the Fertile Secret, our Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok. Thanks for all the TikTok followers and Instagram followers and Facebook followers and YouTube followers. For all of us, we're working to share your story about making this more affordable, accessible, integrative with Eastern and Western practices in all ways we can.
I got a funny story to share. I have a colleague of mine who's an REI like us, but he loves giving numbers to patients. So he saw this one patient. It's a true story, by the way. He saw this one patient and said, listen, you are almost 0% chance of getting pregnant. Well, the lady went for treatment and got pregnant. Instead of being angry at this guy, she made an appointment with him one day, showed up with her baby, and I said, hey, I'm the 0%.
Almost 0%. But again.
But she wasn't angry. She went and showed the baby
to
this REI. So.
All right, faith over infertility. Ectopic pregnancy in 2020 and no endo during the surgery. Concerned receptivity before FET? Probably not.
That's you had your laparoscopy.
Yeah. I think if you do that and you don't see anything, although in some ways the idiopathic, but remember we look with our eyes and maybe we're not able to adequately see microscopic or subclinical. The microscopic endo. So if nothing else is working, you might try the 2 months of the anti-endo and even look at the antimicrobial and the antihistamine protocol along with kiltz's keto lifestyle. Again, whether you're vegan, vegetarian, Mediterranean, or carnivarian, they all have benefits.
Oh, Rob, tell us about your coffee.
Oh, well, coffee, I personally think that limiting coffee, limiting tea, eliminating alcohol is okay. I personally have recently just stopped just because I wanted to try to do something to take control of too much of things. But
he still buys coffee for me.
I always take care of him, make sure. And Dr. Mora gets his coffee and for sure. But I think too much of anything is not good for us. Even too much air, too much oxygen. We got to realize that too much water can be bad. All right. Stephanie Let's see. 44, 2 canceled, mini IVFs, 2 failed IUIs, feeling hopeless, can't afford another IVF. Do I go straight to donor eggs? Is it a waste of time to try naturally? Keep doing natural, keep doing all the things naturally. Your odds at 44 with what you've done so far, let's just say they're 1%. And with your eggs, and they're 50% with donor eggs. So you decide on how much money, time, energy, effort you want to put into that. You decide, not us. We'll be there to help you along the way, even though your odds may be lower than.
But we should emphasize that you should keep on trying naturally, because women do get pregnant
Always.
at your age.
And I had a 44-year young, no eggs, 4 times IVF, does kiltz's keto lifestyle, amazing, gets pregnant. And Joy, high cholesterol. High cholesterol is caused by a high plant-based diet, not a high-fat diet. 99% of people are not eating a high-fat diet. They're eating fried foods, not fatty. And keto is the kick-ass, most amazing thing you could do for high cholesterol. Is not the cause of disease. Sugar and glycation is. And if you haven't read about glycation, the glycocalyx, the glycobiome, that's the game-change understanding of how the human body really works in all of this. All right. Let's see. Talisha, do you want to get this, Dr. Faruqi?
Had ER egg retrieval and a fresh transfer in early June. Fresh failed, which we suspected was due to higher P4 at retrieval. We are doing our frozen soon. I'm 32. Okay to transfer 2 embryos or 1?
It's okay to do 2. Talk to the doctor, the practitioner. But in my opinion, I have a lot of more generous openings to people that want to transfer 2. Depends on how many embryos you have and how many transfers you've done. We generally recommend 1 in your case.
Also depends if you have children at home. Because if you have children at home, we'd be more tempted to go a little bit easier and transfer only 1. If you have no children, it might be a little bit more inclined to transfer 2.
Okay, J.K. Van Eagelen, husband and I have been following keto lifestyle. Fantastic. Highly recommend it to everyone.
It works every time.
This is the most amazing dietary lifestyle I've ever learned as a physician. We're writing a couple of new books. We're doing some talks. We want to hear your stories, but the term keto is a label. Fasting is lasting, and 1 meal a day is the best thing. Get rid of drugs, alcohol, for sure. Limit your caffeine intake. Certainly tobacco in any way should be out of here. Marijuana, no way. All right, 24 weeks on Wednesday. Awesome. And again, we're working on, again, our Sarasota, Miami, but all of Florida, really. Orlando, we're seeing our clients in Florida. We'll be doing full retrievals and transfers later in the year in Sarasota, but at least be doing monitoring and consults in Sarasota. Intralipids, how important are they in reciprocal IVF? Well, less so but again, inflammation, I think, is in all of us. So you're spending a lot of time and money. So I think that whatever you can do to reduce inflammation is really helpful. All right, Isabel, you want to get this, Dr. Faruqi?
What is your protocol for unexplained infertility? Age 27, no issues other than weight.
Well, weight is not the cause of infertility, by the way. It's inflammation. Weight is just another sign of high inflammatory environment. But basically, mini protocol works great.
Well, it's in a nutshell, you have a certain amount, percentage of pregnancies per month. So all our treatments are trying to get you to a higher percentage to increase your monthly fecundity level. So just letrozole alone might work. IUIs might work with letrozole, and ultimately IVF is the one that has the highest fertility every month.
So look at the kiltz's keto lifestyle. Get the family building guide on Amazon. It's a great small investment that has a lot of great stuff. Looked at our website, but unexplained is inflammation. Idiopathic is we're idiots. We don't open our ideas to understand that inflammation. It could be endometriosis. In my opinion, it's pre-diabetes, diabetes, metabolic syndrome, PCOS like. And again, Men and women are both suffering from the same problem. It damages both the sperm and the egg, the embryo, and the implantation environment. So I really, really, really recommend Kiltz's Keto Lifestyle, Letrozole Trigger, Intercourse IUI. Don't forget the molecular fertility supplements, and all of this can be very helpful. Uterine scratch, 2005. Uterine scratch prior to transfer. Should the scratch be done? I recommend scratch, hysteroscopy, DNC, ERA, ERP, laparoscopy. Dr. V's got a lot of experience with helping even with the high volume PRP. I think the high volume PRP is probably as good or better than the intraovarian. It's really about how to reduce inflammation in the pelvis, along with keto.
Yep. Interested in adding Lovenox to first FET after an early loss, after fresh transfer? How do I go about doing this? You can discuss this with one of our providers, or
just tell the nurses. We're really working to recognize that our nursing team easily can take these questions and ideas and float it by one of the practitioners and help us, rather than saying you got to make an appointment in 3 months or 6 months. We're doing our very, very, very best to get you a call with one of our practitioners. But I would say that to me, Lovenox is an early stage in the protocols. So don't. And again, it's part of our level 2 protocol. The aspirin, steroids, antibiotics, antihistamine, certainly the keto dietary stuff, lipids, and the Lovenox. And again, you can go right to the immune protocols. If it's a protocol 2 and 3 and 4, it contains a Lovenox. So I think all of us should look towards that. Had tubes cut and burned 13 years ago. Chances to reversal. I do tubal reversals on cut and burns, and depends on how much of the tube they burned and cleared away. But if it's just a couple of centimeters, quite commonly that can be reversed very nicely.
Yeah.
You want to get this one, Dr. Faruqi?
First IVF round, I had 8 follicles. This from Jackie. On ultrasound after day 2 of stim, I'm concerned that this is a low count. It's very hard to.
That's good.
Yeah,
that's very good. You see, the problem is everyone wants 20 to 40 eggs, and that's not good. We don't recommend that. 5 to 10 eggs is great. And so
it depends on your age. It depends on your AMH. Depends on the protocol, your history. So I don't think there's a number. I think it's how much do you expect from
1 egg, 1 sperm, 1 embryo, 1 baby. We've seen it. We do a lot of natural and mini protocols. If you want to minimize the number of eggs, the OHSS, I think that works very, 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 very nicely. Sherlyn, how are you doing? All right, let's see. Here's a good question.
There's a good question right there. I already know what you're going to answer, but it's Chrissy. I've had 3 miscarriages in 2020, and then I had a bad kidney stone in February. Might the kidney stone indicate anything relevant? And can I do keto if I'm prone to kidney stones? Go ahead.
Well, the cause of kidney stones is a plant-based diet. Oxalates, phytates are the leading cause. So I used to suffer from kidney stones, migraines, bowel disorders. Keto is the kick-ass solution. There's so many people that are negatively saying keto's bad, but they've never done it for any length of time. They do not know what you feel like. At 95, I mean, I'm just doing amazing. Well, no, 65. but I'm telling you, it's a game changer. And high cholesterol, it's not the cause of disease. Plant-based diet is. And I'm sorry, they're lying to us. You're a lioness and a lion, not a pig nor a cow. We are been given the wrong information. The cause of kidney stones is not meat. I'm sorry, it's plants, because the plants want to do what to us?
They want to kill us.
They want to kill us. That's it. All right. You want to get this one. Marissa.
Yeah. Hi. Hi there. Can you talk about endometrial polyps? I'm 27 years old. I'm not too sure about the entire process. I was hoping to do the least invasive treatment route, no shots, even if this is possible. I'm trying to understand the question.
Well, she has polyps and she wants to do natural fertility. So what's our approach to the polyps? And then what's the approach to more natural fertility treatments? Less invasive.
All right. So basically, polyps will perhaps reduce your implantation rates. Some people say by as much as 50%. It's very easy to remove polyps. We remove them in our IVF clinic. Theoretically, almost under local, we could do those
Hysteroscopy with a simple polypectomy, and by doing a hysteroscopy D&C, sometimes people just get pregnant after that.
I mean, you're taking away one of your chain balls, right? It's you're walking around with a ball,
and chain.
Yeah.
The cause of polyps. What's the cause of polyps?
Inflammation.
Inflammation. Yeah. Guess what? What's the cause of infertility? Inflammation. Reduce inflammation. But there are people who get pregnant with a polyp, but get it out, do a D&C, look at kiltz keto lifestyle. You might try some letrozole cycles, a little low-dose steroids, maybe the aspirin, low-dose naltrexone. We use a lot of LDN. LDN reduces inflammation. So that's something to talk about.
Yeah, I just want to add to our Canadian patients. We don't have LDN in Canada. So just
you have to come to America to get LDN. It's available, and people are beginning. So the borders are going to open, but you can reduce inflammation by doing what?
Keto diet.
Fasting keto.
Yeah.
kiltz keto is 1 meal a day at night, high fat, low to no carbs, a little bit of protein, and get rid of alcohol, a little bit of coffee or tea. Okay. That's really the game changer. And I've seen, but letrozole or Clomid, we use a lot of letrozole, and simply taking that for a few months or a trigger shot. Oh, what about hysterosalpingogram? Can that help someone's fertility?
It does, actually. It does.
So the hysterosalpingogram reduces inflammation. It flushes the tubes.
Do you know why? It's fat. It's a lipid based.
The oil contrast one does.
Yeah.
But interesting, when we do laparoscopies, we often see mucus at the ends of the tubes. Think of it like the mucus in the nasal cavities that you can't breathe. You got to flush it out. So when we flush out the tubes, either with water contrast or oil contrast, it helps people get pregnant. We've seen it tremendous amount of times.
Though we don't use that as a treatment, but we do see it all the time.
Well, we do recommend it as a diagnostic. And I've had people get pregnant after an HSG. Then they call up, I'm not getting pregnant. What do I do? Do another HSG or even a laparoscopy, hysteroscopy, D&C. We've seen those people who come back for that. You want to get this one, Doctor?
This is from Arat 10. Any advice on how to find a local doc to do monitoring if traveling? What happened there? Did we move out?
Oh yeah. So it's basically our global team will help you find that.
If traveling for IVF and LDN, it's the best. Tell us where you are, and we're gonna find you somewhere.
Well, if you go to our website, we have a lot of maps on that. Talk to your local OBGYN, talk to the global team, and the global team will help you find them. But we're looking for more OBGYNs, fertility doctors that are willing and able to help you on your journey, because we're working to make it more integrative, more affordable, more about keto lifestyle. kiltz keto lifestyle, I think, is critical. Let's see.
That's a good question right there. Have you helped women with autoimmune disease get pregnant all the time?
Inflammation is called an autoimmune disease, but it's not autoimmune. It's immunologic reactions to foreign particles. So our body is healthy as can be, but all these foreign particles get into our body via what we breathe, we drink, we eat, and what comes through the skin. So we have to recognize that autoimmune disease is a misinterpretation of the problems. COVID is a microscopic virus. So the things that get in our body, we cannot even see, but we do a tremendous amount of immunologic care. I'm working with Dr. Andrea Vidali and a new immune testing profile that we can offer to everyone at hopefully at a really great price, that you can learn more about how inflamed are you. Factor V Leiden. You want to get this one, Doctor?
I'm a carrier of Factor V Leiden. Is there anything different we need to do for retrieval or transfer? Is there a specific protocol you recommend? Well, you can carry Factor V Leiden two ways. Either you have one mutation on your gene or you have two mutations. If you have two mutations, actually it's factor 4, but it's actually factor 5.
Right.
If you actually have the disease, then you're going to have problems with clotting. You might have had a pulmonary embolism and all that. Most people are just carriers, but we do know that it does adversely affect implantation. I personally this would be a case where I would start Lovenox or Fragmin. I would do aspirin, yes,
steroids,
exactly.
LDN.
So this would be our level 1 right off the bat.
What level 2 and 3?
Yeah.
So, but what's the most important thing we recommend for everyone?
Keto diet.
Keto.
Yeah.
And again, it's just a label. There's lots of different ways to do it, but it is the game changer because there's something called a phytohemagglutinin. That means the plants make the clotting particles that cause the blood clotting in your body because they damage the glycocalyx and it causes all the red blood cells to coagulate and come together.
The magical dynamo, can I plan an IVF 1 year post C-section? Does C-section need more recovery time? No, it doesn't.
3 months.
Yeah.
All you need is 3 months.
Same as vaginal delivery.
Right.
Also, there is actually some people, a lot of OBGYNs say that you got to wait 2 years after a C-section to have another vaginal delivery. There is some studies that show that there might be a little bit less uterine rupture, but the number is so small that if you want to have a family, I wouldn't wait for that.
It's 6 months, 3 to 6 months.
I mean,
even people who've had a gastric sleeves, they do not have to wait a year.
No,
I'm sorry. We can get people going faster than that, in my opinion.
And if you don't have children, time's not on your side.
The universe is always working in your favor. Remember that. Always a positive approach.
The universe is on your side.
Right. Time only exists in the mind. There's no such thing and so that's the hooker to this. So most of us are worrying about time, right?
Right.
We're worried. Don't worry about time. Time is only what you make about it. How about Mamie?
Mami Serva Akutu.
All right. How can frozen embryo transfer end up in ectopic pregnancy? Doctor implanted the wrong place. Well, when you put a catheter into the uterus and you plunge the embryo or embryos into the uterine cavity, it's not suddenly Velcro to stick. It can float around. It can move. It can move out to the fallopian tubes. There's flow of fluids, and there can be reverse flow of fluid due to the intra-abdominal inflammation in the intra-abdominal cavity. So that's likely the cause, but it's possible that when it was injected, it went right into the tube. But we don't have as much control over this. You could remove the tubes. If they're normal, I don't recommend that, but it is a rare complication with an embryo transfer that can happen.
Certainly less than in people who get pregnant by themselves.
All right, let's see. But husband started taking let's see. They mentioned this, but my husband started talking. Okay, number of embryos allowed to transfer if we feel strong that we want to do 2. We'll discuss it with you, and we're open to 1 or 2. We rarely would do 3 or 4, but it's something that we'd be glad to talk with you and your partner or yourself and help you make that decision.
Honestly, when people ask me, can I transfer 2? The next question I ask is, what are you looking for? Are you looking for a baby? Or why do you want us to transfer 2? And you can answer their questions and get the right amount of embryos transferred if we can understand exactly what you're looking for. Most people are looking for a healthy baby. Yeah.
Amber, would you recommend laparoscopic surgery to remove scar tissue for someone who has already had surgery and ended up with tubal pregnancy, removal of the one tube? Is, in other words, the fallopian tube is blocked again. Can we do the surgery again on one fallopian tube? So let's see. If it's a bad tube, might be inflamed, might be removed, should be helpful. May help you if you have one bad tube and one normal tube. Removing a bad tube actually
helps you more.
Helps you get pregnant naturally. Yeah. So I think that can be helpful, but it's not necessary. If it's a distal blockage in hydrosalpinx, get it out. If it's open or proximal obstructed, not necessarily, but it could be a harbinger of chronic inflammation, and removing it can be helpful.
And also doing surgery to open block tubes. We used to do a lot of that in the 90s and the 80s. Actually, you and me have done lots of those surgeries, but the overall results don't come close to IVF.
Yeah, but again, we find some people have blocked tubes, but it's external scar tissue that can be removed and open up the tubes. We still do surgical repair and improvement. Latoya Luton, 46 years young, she can still use her eggs. Absolutely. Good morning. Healthy AMH versus AMH level of PCOS. So AMH is between 2 and 5. As they get higher, they may be more indicative of metabolic disorder, PCOS-like. Under 1 is not as good. So how do you make changes? Acupuncture, massage, meditation, prayer, visualization. And what's the number one we talk about, and I talk about incessantly?
Keto.
Yeah. Keto.
Kiltz keto.
Kiltz is keto.
All right. I also know the answer to this question, but we're going to ask Rob. How often do you recommend working out, and what kind of workouts?
Well, I don't recommend working out. I recommend working in. Meditation, prayer, visualization is better. If you're going to go for a walk in nature, bring a camera, bring a pad and paper, draw. Be creative in life. Getting on the treadmill it doesn't make any sense. I'm going to eat food and then I'm going to get on the treadmill to burn calories. It's called excessive friction, heat, and damage to our bodies. I don't recommend exercise at all. Now, sometimes you want to go for light bike ride or light walk, light jog. Keep it light, keep it short, and do not heat up the body. Did I answer the question?
Yes, it did.
All right.
We have that question a lot too. Should nursing be stopped before IVF? Does it affect my chances in getting pregnant? This is the magical dynamo.
I don't know that answer for sure. I've had plenty of people who breastfed and got pregnant, had a baby. We generally recommend not breastfeeding. It can affect your ovulation. There's some worry that the drugs we use get into the breast milk, get into the baby. So some people talk about pumping and discarding. But did you want to add? Did I answer that?
No. I actually do the same thing.
Yeah.
I recommend stopping breastfeeding because of the prolactin levels. But the moment you stop and the prolactins are normal, we can go ahead and do a treatment.
So gallbladder and keto. The gallbladder and keto, you don't have to have a gallbladder. The gallbladder has been removed because you weren't doing keto, but you still make bile. It still goes in. I think bile is just a way of the body getting rid of hemoglobin, of the hemoglobin from the spleen that's been disposed of. So that's my general opinion on all that. I think keto with or without a gallbladder it's still the very best thing you can ever do in life.
Are HSGs painful? Have you heard of horror stories? Well, we do a lot of HSGs, like a lot of them. In our Montreal office also, we do a lot of them. Generally, we recommend that you take a little Tylenol or NSAIDs.
Non-steroidals, right? Motrin,
Advil, Naproxen.
But if you go slow and easy, it's usually not very painful.
Yeah.
And so it can be. We have some people that can't tolerate it at all. We do it under anesthesia. So if you say, hey, I'm really worried or I need a little Valium, we can supply that and make the experience better for you for sure. You want to get this one, doctor?
I'm 41.6 years old. My last protocol was Gonalef 450 and 8GH. And LH, 2 eggs were retrieved. Frozen new protocol is Gonalef 225, Menopur 450. Afraid of hyperstimulation, poor quality. Is that a good protocol?
So what's the protocol that I'm going to say?
Mini protocol.
10, 220. Yeah. That's the one I recommend. Some human growth. I don't like the high dose protocols, especially for those, especially in this case. And we used to do a ton of high dose, but some of us still do it. But I recommend a low dose protocol. If you're going to do a 150/75 gonal menopur, that's fine. Add some human growth hormone. I love letrozole, 10 milligrams with that. Whether you're doing a luteal stem or you're doing it while you're on a priming protocol, I think that works really, really nicely.
So we had talked about this earlier. This is where I would also use letrozole, 10 milligrams. You're probably not going to get more eggs if we go high dose protocol, but you're going to get higher quality eggs if we do low dose protocol.
And I've seen plenty of more eggs in the
Eventually,
low
yes.
dose protocol, and doing duo and triple stems can be helpful. Low motility, flaky zoo.
So we're talking about a male factor situation going on here. Supplements. Do you know why the supplements work? Because the number one cause of abnormal sperm parameters is oxidative stress. In other words,
Well, then why
inflammation?
Why does keto work?
Yeah, same
So
exact same.
so it's
reason.
all about reducing inflammation and getting off the treadmill, right? So molecular fertility, male supplements, low dose naltrexone, CBD oil, and get off the treadmill. And then, in my opinion, I've been talking keto, carnivore for a long time. Judy Cho just came out a really good book on carnivore. Check it out. We're going to put a link on our website to Judy's book. I'm mostly carnivore. I think that's the very best. But if you're a vegan, it's simple, or a vegetarian, it's simple. Add the fat, cook the carbs well, nothing raw, and eat one time a day. Seeds and nuts want to kill you, by the way. So be very, 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 very careful. You want to get this?
My last 2 cycles of egg retrieval failed. One egg first cycle didn't make it to day 1. Second cycle didn't receive any eggs. If we do donor embryos, can we transfer more than 1 embryo? I'm 40 and my husband's 52. Well, it comes back to the
Possibly.
The thing with donor embryos is how old was the donor when that embryo was created. And if the donor was in her 20s, it's the same story as what we told you earlier. There's a very high probability if you use 2 embryos that you're going to end up with twins.
The first and second transfers, and we're hopeful that one makes it. But if not, we'll talk to you and discuss the possibility.
Yeah. We're always open.
Open.
There's a lot of people who are not open, but we are open. But we still want to have a reasonable plan here.
Hi, let's see. I can do your transfer, by the way, if I'm in the office at the time. Just ask. It's not mandatory to take LDN. It's true, some people don't tolerate it. Do not take any drug that you don't tolerate. You tell us right away that you cannot tolerate it, and you should not take it. If we give it to you and you know you can't tolerate it, don't take it.
Yeah.
All right? We're here. All right. It's 11 o'clock. It's the witching hour, as they say.
It's only an hour.
It's a beautiful... Boom. Enjoy this beautiful holiday wherever you live around the world. Every day is a God-given day. Have faith, be patient in the process. And remember, every bump in the road is a stepping stone to the dream you wish. Any last comments, Dr. Faruqi?
I always say it every time. Never, ever, 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 ever give up.
Prayers, faith to everyone. God bless. We'll see you guys next week. Take care on this journey.
Salam. Happy 4th of July.